After George Russell accused the team of cheating, Red Bull's chief Christian Horner finally broke his silence and issued a response. With tensions high and accusations flying, the question on everyone's lips is Red Bull playing dirty once again? Yeah, we know you all want to find out the truth, so do we. So let's check this issue out in today's video. Stay tuned to the very end if you do not want to miss out on a single truth. Now, let's delve deeper into the drama and find out. Hello F1 fans and welcome to F1 Racing. The world of Formula 1 is no stranger to controversy, and the latest incident involving Red Bull has set tongues wagging once again. Let's start with a quick recap of what happened. George Russell claimed that Red Bull was sandbagging during the last race in order to gain an advantage. This, in turn, can cause their competitors to let their guard down, giving the sandbagging team an opportunity to strike. Yeah, we know some of you might be wondering what sandbagging is. Don't worry, we've got you covered here too. Sandbagging is a tactic used by teams to deliberately hide their true pace and performance level. In motorsports, teams can use this tactic to their advantage by pretending to be slower than they really are during practice and qualifying sessions, only to unleash their full potential during the actual race. This can catch their competitors off guard who may have underestimated the sandbagging team's capabilities, resulting in a surprise victory for the sandbagging team. Sandbagging can be achieved in various ways. For example, a team may choose to run their car with a heavier fuel load during practice and qualifying sessions, which can slow them down and make their lap times appear slower than they really are. Alternatively, a team may choose to run their car with less power during practice and qualifying, or they may deliberately take a slower line through corners to make their lap times slower. However, sandbagging is not always very effective. It's a risky tactic that can easily backfire if the other teams catch on to what you're doing. Sandbagging can also result in a lack of data and information, which can put the sandbagging team at a disadvantage during the race itself. So, sandbagging is a controversial tactic that some teams may choose to use in order to gain an advantage over their competitors. Whether or not Red Bull was actually sandbagging during the last race is still up for debate, but it is clear that this tactic is not going away anytime soon in the world of Formula 1. So, why did George Russell say this? Is Red Bull's performance too good this season so far? Let's find out. The 2023 F1 season has kicked off to a strong start for Red Bull, who have already clinched all 3 pole positions and victories. The most recent triumph came in the Australian Grand Prix, where Max Verstappen secured his second win of the season in an eventful race at Albert Park. Although George Russell had taken the lead in the early stages of the race, his hopes of victory were dashed by an unfortunate power unit failure and red flags that appeared at the wrong time. Verstappen took advantage of the situation and breezed past Lewis Hamilton to secure a victory, with a comfortable margin of almost 9 seconds at one point during the race. After the race, Russell made a claim on the BBC Checkered Flag podcast that Red Bull was for sure holding back performance. He suggested that the team was doing this to avoid attracting too much attention and potential rule changes or technical directives that could affect their dominance. So let's see what Russell talked about. During a recent interview with the BBC's Checkered Flag podcast, George Russell expressed his opinion that Red Bull is holding back its full potential during the 2023 F1 season. Russell suggested that Red Bull is hesitant to display their maximum performance as they fear the sport will hold them back. According to Russell, Red Bull has a 7/10 advantage over the other drivers on the field, but they are not likely to use this advantage while the other drivers try to catch up. Following their victory in the Constructors' Championship in the previous season, the Red Bull squad entered the 2023 season with major challenges to overcome due to the fact that they have the least amount of wind tunnel time and aerodynamic development. Furthermore, the team has been penalised under the cost cap, which could further hinder their development. Despite these obstacles, Red Bull has won all 3 pole positions and victories this season, with Max Verstappen securing 2 wins. In the Australian Grand Prix, Verstappen clinched his second victory of the season in a race that ended behind the safety car after multiple red flag periods. During the race, Russell led in the early stages, with him and Mercedes teammate Lewis Hamilton passing pole sitter Verstappen at the start. However, a power unit failure ended Russell's hopes of winning. Russell believes that Red Bull's buffer over the fastest non-Red Bull team has been significant this season. For instance, the team's buffer was 39 seconds at the Bahrain season opener and almost 21 seconds in Saudi Arabia. While Red Bull has been dominant so far this season, Russell acknowledges the team's excellent performance and states his team, Mercedes, needs to up their game. According to Red Bull, the team is intentionally concealing their actual speed to prevent the FIA from implementing rules that could put them at a disadvantage. He further added that Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez could potentially increase their lap times by 0.7 seconds if they wanted to. According to Christian Horner, Max Verstappen's impressive pace towards the end of the Australian Grand Prix was partly due to a mistake made by Lewis Hamilton. However, Horner dismissed George Russell's suggestions that Red Bull was holding back their true pace. The race was full of incidents, with 2 red flags, and the race ultimately finishing behind the safety car. Despite starting from the pit lane, Sergio Perez managed to work his way up to 5th place. The battle at the front saw both Mercedes drivers overtake Verstappen on the first lap. Russell took the lead going into the first chicane, but Verstappen lost momentum heading down to turn 3. Hamilton capitalised on this and overtook the Red Bull driver, eventually taking the lead after Russell pitted following a red flag. Verstappen was able to overtake Hamilton shortly after the restart and pull away to open up a 2-second gap over the 7-time world champion in half a lap. Mercedes was left questioning how Red Bull was able to pull away so easily, but Horner believes that Hamilton made a mistake on that lap. He also suggested that Red Bull had completely set up their car for the race, whereas Hamilton may have heated up his tyres too aggressively, which affected his performance. He pointed out that managing the race is an important aspect of any F1 competition, and tyre management was also a factor in the Australian Grand Prix. Horner also mentioned Mercedes' period of dominance in F1 between 2014 and 2021, suggesting that they knew well about such advantages. He added that Perez was not holding back during the race, and that the grid was closer than before. After the race, Verstappen hinted at Red Bull's dominance, stating that he had taken it easy with the Mercedes pair at the start because he knew they had a quick car. Losing a spot or 2 wasn't a big deal. However, Hamilton was able to finish second and prevent Red Bull from securing another 1-2 finish. This was Mercedes' best result so far of the season. Let's find out what Max Verstappen has said in the response, or have ye responded correctly or not. The post-race drama continued as Christian Horner and George Russell found themselves in a heated debate. Russell had suggested that Red Bull was concealing their true pace to avoid FIA regulations, but Horner quickly dismissed the claim, calling it very generous of Russell. The FIA has previously taken measures to prevent one team from dominating the championship, leading Russell to speculate about Red Bull's intentions. However, Verstappen, who currently leads the championship, was unfazed by the accusation and confidently declared that the FIA couldn't stop Red Bull anyway. The Dutchman explained that he and his team were merely taking care of their tyres. Yeah, that's what he said. Verstappen said, "I think anyway, there's nothing really they can do. I mean, we just try to do the best we can with the development of the car, but it's also about pace management." He further added, "We didn't really know. I think no one really knew how long that hard tyre would last, so it's about just bringing it home because we had a bit of pace, I think, over the others." He continued, "There's no need to try and gain half a second a lap and destroy your tyres to the end because you never know, a safety car can happen, red flags like we had today. So yeah, it's not necessary to risk all that." Verstappen also talked about the first lap, where he lost places. He explained, "I was just quite cautious as well in the first lap." He added that, "I didn't want to risk getting damaged and the cars behind me were really aggressive, which is fair enough. They knew they were not quick enough, so that the only chance I had was lap 1, and they took advantage of that." So, is it the first time Mercedes or drivers from Mercedes blamed or accused Red Bull? What do you think? Let's talk about this as well. There have been instances in the past where Mercedes has accused Red Bull of various forms of cheating. 2 major incidents occurred where Mercedes accused Red Bull of cheating. The first incident happened in the 2019 British Grand Prix, where Mercedes raised a protest against Red Bull's innovative front wing design. Red Bull had introduced a new front wing design that allowed for greater flexibility, which in turn could lead to better performance. However, Mercedes claimed that Red Bull's wing was flexing beyond the permitted limits under load. After a lengthy investigation by the FIA, it was determined that the wing did not exceed the permitted limits, and Red Bull was allowed to continue using the design. The second incident occurred in the 2021 British Grand Prix when Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen collided on the opening lap. Verstappen was leading the race, and Hamilton attempted to overtake him on the inside of Copse Corner. The 2 cars collided, resulting in Verstappen crashing heavily into the tyre barrier. Mercedes claimed that Red Bull had been running their car with a flexible rear wing, which was allowing for greater straight-line speed. However, after an investigation by the FIA, it was determined that the rear wing was within the permitted limits, and Red Bull was cleared of any wrongdoing. Before we go towards the end of today's video, let's not forget to talk about some fans' reactions as well on this controversial issue. Christian Horner's clever response to Mercedes' accusations has set Twitter on fire, with Red Bull and Formula 1 fan taking to the platform to express their support. The audience is now applauding Horner's sarcastic comeback to George Russell's comments, and social media has been buzzing with reactions. Fans pointed out that Russell always has something to complain about, and while some think he is a nice guy, they believe he should toughen up. In the midst of all this, Red Bull is being hailed as the sneakiest team on the grid, and Horner's mouth-shutting response to Mercedes has won him accolades from fans who are tagging Red Bull to express their support. So, to conclude today's topic of discussion, the world of Formula One is always a hotbed of tension and excitement, with teams and drivers constantly striving to gain the upper hand. This season, the rivalry between Mercedes and Red Bull has intensified, with accusations and counter-accusations flying back and forth. Christian Horner and Max Verstappen have dismissed claims that Red Bull is cheating, while George Russell and Mercedes have suggested that the team is sandbagging to prevent the FIA from taking action to close the performance gap. Fans have taken to social media to voice their opinions, with many praising Horner for his snarky response to Russell's comments. The drama and excitement of the season are sure to continue, with each team and driver fighting tooth and nail to come out on top. Despite the heated rivalry, it's important to remember that Formula One is a sport that brings people together from all over the world. Whether you're cheering for Mercedes or Red Bull, or simply watching for the love of the sport, the thrill of the race is what keeps us coming back for more. So, to all the Formula One fans out there, keep following the upcoming races to see whether Red Bull's pace continues to remain dominant or if Mercedes can catch up. And don't forget to share your thoughts and predictions in the comment section below. Let's keep the conversation going and see what the rest of the season holds. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Till next time.